Hey, God bless you. On today, let me get a little bit more light in here. Hold on. Uh, okay. Sorry about that. Everybody on tonight, thank you for tuning in. Um, this is part two of dealing with deceptive and jealous spirited mates or spouse. Y'all have to go back and listen to the other part when you're dealing in when I dealt with the areas of ministry. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the competitive and jealous spirit of your mate, and then next week I'll talk about um, dealing with the spirit of jealousy and competitive jealousy in the things of life. And that's going to conclude that series. But I will definitely want to talk about this one on tonight. I think the one in ministry really said a whole lot, and definitely want to. If y'all bear with me for just about 30 or 40 minutes on tonight, I'm going to give you some signs as well as try and give you some solutions to how you can resolve this, because I truly believe that a lot of what individuals deal with, whether it's the man or the woman, when you're in a relationship, when you're in a marriage, that there's a lot of competitiveness. There's a lot of disagreements. There's a lot of friction. There's a lot of things that if you're not aware of it, that you can lose the zeal and the drive to want to continue in the relationship, because the one you're with, it feels like they're always competing with you. It feels like there's always something going on with them. It feels like there's always something going on with you. I mean, this is just basically a few things to help you identify with. Not a lot of scripture, but I'm really just want to talk to you about it, because a lot of people deal with the competitive spirit in relationships. They deal with a lot of jealousy in relationships, and it shouldn't be that way. Relationship is not designed for you to be always in a place of battle with the one you love. It should be a continual working together, a continual understanding of one another, a continual flowing together to achieve a common goal together. Because my thing is, my thing I always share with so many people is, I truly don't believe that God intended for a man and a woman to always be in a constant battle with one another over everything, when relationship is about working together. You are in this because you want to work with someone else in elements and accomplish goals together. You want to accomplish a life together. And I don't know about a lot of people, but I truly feel that if two people really have a heart to want the relationship to work well, that a lot of times you won't spend time arguing. You won't spend a lot of time fighting. You won't spend a lot of times disputing. And this on tonight, what I want to talk to you about is elements of how to signs to see, and also how to deal with. I'm going to try and give you a few solutions on how to deal with a competitive and jealous spirit. Of course, we know what being competitive is. It's this element of always challenging and always combating with, and always trying to be a victor over. If you got a mate that always feel like they always have to be right all the time, that their opinion only is the only one that matters, you are dealing with a competitive mate. If you're in a place where you're dating them, you have a chance not to be a part of it. If you're in a place of marriage, I'm going to try and give you some advice that maybe can help you through the coping process of dealing with this type of mate. So, I'm going to start this off with the scripture, Proverbs 27:4. Proverbs 27:4 says this. Thank you for coming in on tonight. Proverbs 27:4 says this. It says, wrath is cruel, anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? Says it again. Says, wrath is cruel, anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? That's the only one I'm going to really use tonight. God bless you, Lady Bots. Love you, woman of God. Awesome teaching on this morning. So, when you start looking at the elements of jealousy, it's the desire to want what somebody else has. It's the desire to want to be what somebody else is. And a lot of times, believe it or not, you will encounter this with somebody that you're in a relationship with, someone that you are intimate with, someone that you share your life with. And people say, well, why is that? Why is that possible? What brings about that? Listen, it has necessarily nothing to do with you, okay? It has necessarily nothing to do with you, but it's the fact that a person that's jealous or competitive always wants the limelight. They always want to be the center of attention, which should help some people in this stage. That if you got somebody that always wants the attention from everything, you have got to realize that you are dealing with somebody that could be possibly a jealous person or a person that is very, very competitive in what they do. These people that are have this tendency to be jealous. They also have the tendency to be overly protective. A lot of times, they have the tendency to be paranoid. A lot of times, they have the tendency to always feel like that everything else is not going their way. I'm just kind of giving you a little rundown a little bit because, believe it or not, we even in the church house have competitive and jealous mates inside of our church house. They always feel like they have to have the last word. That's one of my tips. I'm just going into it early. They always feel like that they have to be the superior of things. And so on what I'm going to share with you over the next few moments is to help give you signs to what you are dealing with if you are dealing with a jealous individual. If you are, these are helping you with signs on how to deal with it, because some people, but you may not know what exactly this is. What is this thing that I'm always wrestling with the person that I'm with? Or maybe it is you. I'm just here to give you the tips, and you can take it for a grain of salt or $1 million. Y'all know I say that all the time. So let's look at the tips. Let's look at some of the tips that I've written down. One of the tips when you know you're dealing with a person of a competitive or jealous spirit is that they aren't truly happy when you get advances in life. When you get advances on your jobs, they're never happy about it. When you finally get some things going off in your ministry, they aren't happy about it. They aren't rejoicing with you. They don't celebrate with you. People that deal with a competitive or jealous spirit, they do not rejoice with you. When you get advancements and promotions and things in God, when you start to go higher in your places of ministry and they don't come out to support, they don't ever be a part of your endeavors, they're not a part of your dreams, they're never ever a part of anything that you like to do, whether it's in business, whether it's in ministry, or whether it's something that a personal loss. Let's say you just lost weight, ladies. You lost 10 pounds and you want to tell your husband, hey, I lost this 10 pounds. And then they present like a sarcastic, oh, you lost 10 pounds? Well, you could have lost 15 and that would have been a lot more. Those kind of things, those elements of where they are either sarcastic in celebrating with you, or they have the tendency to, to pretend. That's a word. They pretend as though they're happy, but you can truly, truly tell that they aren't really happy. You can truly tell that they really aren't for you, and that they are not happy with your journey of how you got your advanced place in the things of God, especially when you start dealing with things of the spiritual, man. Let me tell you this real fast. When you start dealing with the mate that's not happy with you in spiritual things, you know what they'll try and do? They'll always try and find elements where they'll pray, and they'll try and be more deep in their revelation. They'll always try and find elements of of what makes them greater than you. You have to be very, very mindful of the fact that why wouldn't they be happy for me? Why wouldn't they be happy when I preached a message? Why wouldn't they be happy when I accomplished something? I finally went back to school and they didn't even show that they were happy for me. These are things you have to pay, you have to pay attention to if somebody is truly, truly, truly happy for you. Your mate, if they're really, really happy for you. Are they really, truly happy for you when you get advancements? Next thing, how you can identify if somebody you're with in a relationship is competitive or have a spirit of jealousy is they aren't usually happy when you are. When you are smiling, have you ever came home from church and you just been in a great mood and you've just been in a great place and then all of a sudden they got this little about them all the time. And you know, things that make you happy, they are a lot of times hard on. They're a lot of times against the things that truly, truly make you happy. You finally did something good and they are not in a celebrative type of place with you. It's always, like I said, it always feels like a competition thing. So if you're happy, then they're sad. If you're sad, then they're happy. You know, those elements is what you have to watch out for. Those are the things that you have to pay attention to, is how happy are they when you're happy? Kind of goes along with what I said a while ago, just a second ago, but the essence of what is their expressions? What are their feelings when you begin to display happiness? Do they show that same type of happiness? So the next thing is, they try and push you out of position in the things of God. They always try and push you out of a place. They always try and discourage when you know that God has you in a good place. Like, let's say that God has called you to be a teacher over the youth. They will discourage those elements altogether. They will not be in a favor of anything that you are excited about. They will always find a way to discourage what you're excited about. This is something for people that are in relationship or planning on being in relationship that you want to pay attention, because you want somebody in your corner. You want somebody in your life that is going to be just as excited, if not more excited, for the things that you happen to do as a part of your life, and for the things that you happen to do as a part of what makes you happy. You don't want someone, when you start getting elevated and you believe God has called you to do something in ministry or to do something in business or to do something in life or a goal or a dream, and then they try and push you out of position. Be careful of people that try, your mate. Be careful of your mate that try and push you out of position, try and yield you away from something you believe God is calling you to do. If anything, your mate should be encouraging you to say, hey, listen, I believe that you can do this, and I got your back all the way. And I know that if we pray about it, baby, I know if we pray about it, hubby, I know if we just go before God that we can achieve it. This is what you want from your mate. You don't want your mate saying, no, you can't do that. You already got the wrong signs of an individual that ain't gonna walk with you. I don't know if we gonna do that. If they always got questions, well, how we gonna do that? We don't have this. If they always got this suspicion and negativity that comes with everything that you present to them, then this is a true sign that they are competitive and that they are carry an element of jealousy, and that is not good for a relationship, because you will always feel like you're never able to achieve things. You'll never ever be able to accomplish goals. You'll never ever feel like you're able to soar in the things. And you know what else? You won't ever find yourself mentioning things to them. They cause you not to want to mention your things that you find elevation in. They never ever want to talk about those things that you that you are elevated in. You know, they want to move you from where you are in God, and they want to discourage. Now, you don't need to be a part of the prayer team. You don't even pray at home, baby. You don't need to be a part of that. They want to move you out of position, but you got to stay in your position in God, dear. You got to stay in your position in God, bro. You can't let even your mate pull you out of the place that God has you in, because you got to know for yourself. That's why it's important to have your relationship with God for yourself first. Then you get a mate, because what happens is you'll hear God's voice for yourself, and your strength won't come through the individual. It will come through God. And then if you get moved, you'll know the Holy Spirit is saying, I didn't tell you to go there, stay there. So that's that one. Beware of somebody that tries to move you out of position. The next one is, this is mainly towards the men, is do men try and use gestures and other things like, I'm the man of the relationship, I'm the man of the house? Do they try and use that? Do they try and use their authority a lot of times to compete with your elements of who you are as a woman of God? Can I drop this 100 on y'all ladies, that just because you're the weaker vessel don't mean that you're the lesser vessel. There is a difference. You are the weaker. The Bible calls you weaker. The Bible does not call you lesser. That means simply put that you're more frail to a lot of the things that carry on in the earth. But it does not mean that you're a lesser person because you're weaker. It just means you're more sensitive. It means you're more frail to things, but it don't mean that you're lesser. Because God created Adam and Eve for rulership. He created Adam and Eve for rulership. Okay? So, let me cut this volume down so that those little chimes don't affect what I'm teaching. So, you got that part. You understand that men that have the tendency to use gestures like, I'm the man of the house, I'm the man of the relationship. This is so important that you mark and pay attention to in relationships, because you don't want a dictator. You want someone that's able to rule properly. You want the right person ruling over your life. Ladies, when I'm saying that, y'all know what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's a boss kind of person, but I'm saying that he's able to handle you in the proper perspectives that leads to you incorporating you in the places of rulership. He knows and understands your values. He understands your abilities to operate well. He's not intimidated by, because a lot of times men can be intimidated by women that are definitely more spiritually discerned, more prophetic. A lot of times more women have the tendency to be more prophetic, and they have the tendency to be more skilled in a lot of the things in God. And you want a man that is okay with you being skilled in your areas in God. You don't want to have to deal with those types of things, because I'm going to tell you something about men, and then I'm going to go to my next point. But one thing about men is that a lot of men have the tendency to do is to use their power ranking over every area in your life. They try and use it over, well, I'm the man of the house, so everything that fall up under the house, you fall up under me. And that's not the case at all. He's the head of the house for direction. But just because he's the head of the house for direction don't mean he got the vision, if you understand what I'm saying. It don't mean that he sees everything the way it's properly meant to be seen. Some things God will give to the eye of the woman to see as well. And it's up to him to discern who has the eye and the vision for the house, of where the house is going at that time. So beware of men that try and use the gesture of, I'm the man of the relationship, I'm the man of the house, all that kind of crap. Okay? So the next thing you want to know when you're dealing with somebody with an area of competition, that was for the men in particular, is that they always have to be one up on everything that you present. They always find a way to be one up. Every time you talk about something, they have to talk about something else that builds up their resume. Every time you look at, I won this award, but I won this award. Well, I won that award like 2 years ago, or whatever it is that you try and present and do, they always want to be one up on it. They always want to try and testify against it. They always want to try and say, well, you know what happened with me with that? They always want to draw the attention to themselves. This is somebody that you're dealing with has a competitive and a jealous spirit. And I'm just trying to let y'all know this when y'all get into relationships, or if you're in a relationship, that if you have somebody that always have to find a way to one up you in everything that you say, you are dealing with somebody that is competitive. Let me just drop it like this. If you always feel like you have to one up everything somebody else say that you're in a relationship with, you have a competitive spirit. You have a competitive spirit as well. It's important to deal with it. Address it, deal with it, so you can move on and be healed and whole. Ain't no problem. Ain't nobody judging. Just saying. Next thing is that they always bragging about their personal accolades and thriving on attention. Just talked about that. They're always looking at their personal accolades in life. They're always looking at what they've done. They always want to talk about what they're doing. They always want to talk about everything that they've accomplished. These personal accolades are what we call strife and vainglory. And you have to be mindful of people that do things through strife and vainglory, because these are competitive people. These are people that are looking to, come on now, they are looking to always be on top. Competitive people always look to be on top of everything that is presented, because they have to have the answers. They the ones that always have to have the direction. They the ones that always have to be on top of everything. They want to brag about everything, and they always want to look to be the one that caters to the attention made for them. So you have to be careful of these people. The next thing is that they are they are chronic criticism. They chronically criticize you on everything. Can't you do this right? Can't you do that right? These are people that these competitive and jealous people want to belittle you, to make you feel inferior to them, to make you feel like you'll never ever achieve the place of them. And they always look to make you less than who you are as an individual. You are not less. You are not less. You may be weaker. This for the ladies right there. But always remember that these people that are competitive and are of the jealous nature, they always look to belittle and put you down, and to always make you feel like you are less. They always want to talk about their accolades. Going back to the last one, they always want to talk about how much they graduated, how they graduated the top of their college class, and how they the first one that helped promote the ministry. And it, like I said, this goes in business, this goes in the corporate world, this goes in our church house, because competition ain't got no necessarily specific arena that it uses, but competition can flow in any area of our lives, and we have to be aware and be mindful of that. And so you will find that even at the church house. Oh, you see how I preached that message? You see how I did this? And you could use a little bit more work on yours. And they'll even use it in a sarcastic form to make it look like it's a little bit humorous to the things that they really trying to say, but they really trying to put you down and laugh at you at the same time. These competitive and jealous mates have that tendency to be sarcastic in their approach, as well as belittle you in what you say and do as a whole. Okay. The next thing is they use guilt to make you feel less. Kind of reiterating a little bit more. They use guilt to make you feel less, to try and make you feel sorry for your own accomplishments, to try and make you feel bad for what you tried to set out to do, to try and make you feel less than what you are trying to do as a whole, as an individual. Be mindful of competitive and jealous people. They will always try and make you feel guilty on your successes. They try and make you feel guilty on the things that you've accomplished. They always try and make you feel less than what you are as an individual and your accolades for life. They always want to try and belittle you. That's the word I'm looking for. They want to try and belittle you and make you feel bad on your own personal accomplishments for life. Don't be intimidated by that. Don't feel guilty for them trying to make you feel guilty, because they're trying to bring you down. They're trying to bring your confidence down. They're trying to bring your esteem down. They're trying to bring those elements in your life that you have taken a pride in. It took energy, it took a strength to fight to get to that place. And here they are trying to make you feel bad. These are competitive mates and competitive spouses and competitive people that you're in a relationship with, to help you avoid that. The next thing is they falsely accuse and blame you for everything. They always want to accuse you for everything that you do. It's always your fault. Everything that you try and do, everything that you try and accomplish, everything that you they try and blame you for the failures of their life. They try and blame you for their life not being as they would like it to be. And they'll always use accusations. Well, if you would have supported me more, then I probably would have did better. And you could have been doing everything right. You could have been doing everything right to support them, to be in their lives, to help let them know, hey, listen, you are doing an outstanding job. But you know one thing about somebody that's competitive and jealous towards you, is no matter how many accolades you give to them, their heart is never, ever, ever satisfied. Remember that always. A competitive person is never, ever satisfied with the compliments that they get from their mate, okay? The next one is, watch this, is that competitive and jealous people, jealous mates, have the tendency to create an argument, which means they'll start an argument on purpose. They'll make up a reason to be upset with you because they always want to be in friction with you. Have you ever just met somebody, they just want to just be in a place of arguing all the time just for the sake of it? You ain't done nothing wrong. You ain't done nothing to them. You hadn't done anything to offend them, but they just want to argue about everything. This is a competitive and jealous person in nature. They just always want to look for ways to break up the peaceful place that you carry with them. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be mindful of what you're dealing with. Next thing is watch this, they use sex. Here's an interesting one. They use sex after verbal abuse to medicate the inner anger. Let me say that again. They use sex after verbal abuse, most times, to medicate the inner anger that's inside of them. In other words, they'll start an argument with you. Then all of a sudden, they want to start kissing and having sex with you after that. Y'all know what I'm saying. Those that have been married and those that have been dealing with this element. This is a very, very true element that a lot of people won't talk about. But y'all know how I keep it 100. But this mate that you're with, they will cause an argument. They will cause a dispute. Then the next thing you know, now all of a sudden they want to go to the bedroom and you looking like, what the heck? You know, what is this? Well, you just got through dogging me out and now you want to take me in the bedroom? That's because they want to attack your vulnerable place. Your vulnerable place through the elements of sex. And they want to suppress their inner anger towards you. So basically, can I be real? Basically, what they want to do is they want to take out their anger of how they feel about themselves on you. And they want to use your body as a sex toy for their anger. Do you not understand something? That even in a sexual place, that sexual place carry elements of spirits connected to it, that how you present you to yourself, to your mate, can be a vicious spirit of anger, and you can really feel violated. People ain't gonna talk about this, but you will feel violated. You'll feel like, man, you just blanked me. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Let me just go ahead and say it, because I only know how to be 100. You just basically effed me, okay? You just basically effed me, and you just made me feel like trash. It can be a man or a woman. Not trying to be biased on that. It can go either way. But basically you feel like trash after you've been in the bed with this individual. After they don't argue and verbally abuse you, then they just come and take out their aggression and their anger and try and medicate you. Try and medicate themselves with a sexual experience with you to really make a deposit into you on how they really feel about you, when really it's all how they feel about themselves. People ain't going to agree with that, but I know somebody else knows what I'm talking about that have experienced this, and you have experienced where your mate has physically misused you. They haven't handled you as though they was making love to you. They handled you as though you were just somebody off the street that they just wanted a quick hit from. And that is because they use you and they use their aggression and they use their anger. All those things build up testosterone and estrogen. All those emotions, they go into areas of really just sexual energy that they use to deposit into you. I'm saying men, but women do it as well. So they'll start arguments. So an argument will be created so that there can be a sexual moment. But all that is just a medication for the inner anger on the inside of them. Next point of how to identify a competitive and jealous mate is, do they always have their guard up? Do you always have your guard up with them? Everything you look to talk to them about, you always got your guard up about it because you don't know how they're going to come at you. These are signs of a competitive and jealous mate. Is if you always have to have your guard up. You should never have to have your guard up with your mate. But if you got to put your guard up with your mate, those are sure signs that, listen, man, there are some things that we don't find agreement on. There are some things that we definitely don't find the same elaboration for life on. So do you always have your guard up with them? Do you have your dukes up of your heart? Because a competitive and jealous person is always going to be on their attack mode in everything that they do. They're always going to look to attack you in some kind of shape, form, or fashion. As I told y'all a while ago, they always look to belittle. They always look to be on the negative of everything that you approach. If you got to have your guard up all the time with them, then that's a sure sign. Come on now. That's a sure sign that they are in competition with everything that you do because they always want to be on top. I'm almost finished, y'all. So, these things that I presented to you on tonight, it's a very real place, y'all. Competitiveness does occur in marriages, not just worldly marriages, as we would say, but even in marriages in the church. This is going on a daily. You got pastors that's competing with the first ladies. You got first ladies competing with the pastor. You got pastors that aren't the pastor. They are the assistant pastor, if you will, the co-pastor, but the woman is the pastor. And you got these elements of competition in that. You got elements of competition of men that make more money than women. They want to feel like they make more money than women. You got some in competition that feel like they got to know one another. They got to know more in the things of God than the other. You got all these elements of competition that go on that we think are not happening, but they are constantly going on in relationships, in churches, in our church house, y'all. We ain't talking about the ones in the world. We talking about in our own church house, that there is an element of flesh and blood battle. I know we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but there's a flesh and blood battle that's going on in these marriages, in these relationships inside of the church, of somebody always wanting to be on top, somebody always wanting to be better. Inside, the husband and wife fighting should not be. These things should not be. But we have it. So, basically, I'm going to give y'all these few tips, and then I'm going to be done on the night. About 3 tips. So, how do you deal with competitive people? If your mate's competitive, one thing you want to remember this, that if you're dealing with a competitive mate, you got to stay out of your feelings. You can't afford to get in your feelings, because the only thing you're going to do is generate. You're going to generate more conflict between you and your mate. Your mate is already going to be in an argumentative type of place. So you want to conflict that. You want to contrast that as much as possible. You want to reflect that. That's the real word. You want to reflect the attacks as much as possible against you. So that requires for you to stay out of your feelings, because you get in your feelings, it's going to probably be an argument. Stay away from your feelings. Find elements to start practicing more discipline now. If you're in a relationship and you find these conflicts, start finding places of discipline now, because you're going to need it in the journey. If it happens while you're married, you need to start working on controlling your feelings more, because if you can't control your feelings, it is going to be a long battle between you and that person that competes with you. Next thing you want to do, you want to stay calm and stay vulnerable. What do I mean stay vulnerable? It means keep your heart open. Why would I want to keep my heart open to somebody that's going to attack me? Because remember, the part of you that entered into this relationship was an element of love. You got to still let love continue. Let love continue. Let love continue. Let your love continue, because you are keeping yourself open to them. Because when you start getting into those shutdown places, you start getting into distant places. I ain't saying you got to sit there and let them hurt you, but I am saying at the same time, you have to find a way to love and keep your heart open in spite of the journey. Remember, it ain't you. It ain't you that they're attacking. It's not you that they're attacking. It's the elements that's how can I say? It's the elements that's coming against you. It's the elements of that the enemy is using them to make them feel like less than a person. That's the one thing you have to keep in mind in this, that they are not competing with you. They're just trying to find ways to be greater by the effects of what the enemy is showing them. So it's really not about you. It's just those elements the enemy trying to use, the imaginations the enemy tries to use to make you feel lesser. If it's all important, try and find ways to express this. Express jealousy. Maybe you can find it through a place of humor, or maybe you can be straightforward with it and just really bring it to the forefront. That, hey, you know what? Feel like there's some jealousy, some tension, and some things that are conflicting with our relationship that, I want to, talk to you about. But you have to find ways to try and communicate with this, okay? Finding ways to communicate with a competitive, jealous person, it can be difficult at times, but you got to find a way to at least express and be straightforward with it. I ain't saying you got to be straightforward where you hurt their feelings, but I am saying that you have to find a way to, maybe you can lighten the mood or bring elements that can definitely help you through this journey with this, because it can be very, very tedious. It can be very, very strenuous. It can be very, very draining. But you gotta at least try. At least try to work through it. If you want this to work, at least try through it. Okay? Find inner healing in this. You're gonna have to find some inner healing and find some place of confidence that you are doing what you can to solidify the relationship. You are doing what you can to bring a balance to what's going on in the relationship. You're doing what you can to heal yourself through the process of this. Because I'm telling you, y'all, having a competitive mate, it can, like I said before, it can really, really wear on your heart more than you anticipated, y'all. And it's important for you to find your place of inner healing. Find your place of appreciation, self-appreciation, self-gratitude. Almost finished. Check yourself. Check your efforts and discover, are you doing all you can? That's all you can do. Because one thing about a competitive person is that they carry elements of pride. And chances are, a lot of times, they don't want to listen to you. They don't want to They don't want to hear what you have to say a lot of times, but anything that they are listening to, they look to try and combat it. They look to try and combat it. They look to try and out overdo it. So you want to be okay to check your efforts. If you have done all you can to do to try and make it work with them, if you have done all your efforts have came and have fell short, then you have got to learn how to pull back your effort, pull back on those efforts, and really kind of maximize the areas where you can maximize and allow God to do the healing in it. But always find ways to support your mate, even if they don't feel like you are, because a lot of times they feel like they try and make you feel bad, like you ain't supporting them, or anything like that. So always try and find ways to encourage your mate, support your mate, build your mate up, lift them up, encourage them. Definitely stay before God before him. I'm telling you, definitely stay, because I'm telling y'all, it goes on bad in our church houses, and you guys got to find those efforts and those ways to build them up. Lastly, in all of this, is there a place for change? Is there a place for change in this? Is there a place of reconciliation? Is there a place that they look to change? Are they showing signs of changing? Do they show signs that they want to be better? You know, if not, then you have to understand what you're dealing with. And if not, then you have to realize that continuing to try and get them to change is not going to work. It's not going to work, especially if they are in competition with you. It's not going to work. It is up to you to go back to these smaller elements of encouragement and uplifting and building up, and then you can definitely, over time, it hopes to change their heart from that. So y'all, it is a slippery slope, and yes, it can be very, very competitive, but this is why I encourage you so much to examine your fruits. Examine the fruit of the one that you're with. Check, don't be falling for just one thing that they do, but check the fruits of them. What all do they do to present that they are qualified to walk alongside of you? What makes them certified that they can be a good helpmeet for your life? You know, do they present that? Do they give you the elements that, hey, I'm in your corner? Because you don't want somebody that's going to compete with you. You don't want somebody that's always going to tear you down. Somebody that's always going to challenge you in everything. You know, those things can really, really drain you, man. Finding somebody that's always trying to challenge you in everything. And it's like you just don't want to talk to them about nothing, because everything you talk to them about is always something that they want to beef about. You don't need that in a relationship. Relationship is not designed for that. I don't care what nobody say. Relationship is not designed for competition. If you want to compete with me about something, let's compete with one another on loving one another and appreciating one another and building one another up on the most holy faith. If we're going to compete about something, let's compete about how much in love we are with one another. Let's build one another up. Let's fall in love and bring and develop a love challenge that shows one another appreciation and love that goes beyond what we do now. Any type of competition like that, I want to love you more than you love me. No, I want to love you back more than you love me. Let's continue to find those elements of bringing and keeping the fire burning. Keeping the fire burning in the relationship so that we can continue to go higher. So, y'all, that's all I really have on tonight, y'all. I got a big day tomorrow. Y'all pray for me. And I really, really hope that this was a blessing to somebody. Maybe not for everybody, but I pray it was something that was said that help you in the journey on where you're going to. So, y'all, I'm going to call it a night on tonight. I'll see y'all soon. Look for more of my messages. Y'all feel like sharing this. Y'all know how we do it by now. Share it if you feel led. So, y'all be blessed on tonight. Take care. I'll talk to y'all soon.